Hi everyone, I am Catherine and I am back with another book related video, and this is going to be part 2 of my November wrap up, and I'm really excited to get into these books with you guys. And a lot of these books I already have individual reviews for, so you guys can watch them. So I'm not going to be spending a whole lot of time on them. I'm probably just going to tell you a little bit about them, maybe a little bit about the characters, and then I'll give you my rating, and then I'm going to move on. So the first book I'm going to talk about is going to be The Roses of May. And this is from the Butterfly Garden series by Hutchison. And this one, it is about a girl named Priya whose sister was murdered, and she's been taken in by these 4 FBI agents. Her and her mother are very, very close, and they have been moving around, and eventually they are going to move to Paris. But before they do, they want to know who is responsible for killing her sister. And Priya also had found the body of her sister, and in this book, Inora is talking to Priya in letters, and Victor Hanoverian has been sending Priya these letters as well. And then she gets letters from Mercedes, she gets letters from Brian, and they talk back and forth. And it also goes into a little bit of the butterflies, what they've been up to, and it also talks about how some of the butterflies are no longer there. Some of them have died, some of them have committed suicide, and it also talks about a little bit of their trial and how that it affects them in different ways. And it also, Priya has also been being stalked by the man who killed her sister. Also is being stalked by another person who she goes and plays chess with, and he makes her feel very, very uncomfortable. And I give this book, I think I give it 4 out of 5, or maybe 5 out of 5. It was somewhere around there. I really enjoyed it. I couldn't put it down. It was an amazing book. And the next book is going to be The Summer Children by Hutchison. This one takes place in Virginia, and this one it talks about Mercedes Ruiz, who is one of the agents. She was also in the Butterfly Garden, and she was in The Roses of May. This one is pretty much all about her. Gives you her backstory. It gives you talks about her backstory, talks about her family, and what is going on with her father. And it also talks about her cases. So this one I really enjoyed. She has to go back through her cases and look, because they think that this person who is killing these kids' parents, it has to do with one of the cases she worked, and it has to be one of the children that she's helped. And she struggles through this book because she feels like she didn't help enough, or she feels like the system is kind of part of the problem. And it comes to find out that all the families have these things in common, where social services was called. And it just snowballs from there, and they are trying to figure out who it is. And yeah, and all the kids they also had to watch their parents die. So they call her the guardian angel or something like that. And all these kids end up on Mercedes' porch covered in blood. Some of them are young, some of them are older. It just depends. So in this one I give, God, I can't remember. I think it was like 4, maybe 3 stars, somewhere around there. The next book, next book is called The Vanishing Season. This one is about a girl named Brooklyn Mercer who goes missing, and one of their teammates, Brian, had a sister named Faith, went missing about 20 years ago. And Eliza, who is a newcomer, she was in The Roses of May, The Summer Children, and she's in this one. This one, it basically focuses on her and Brian. And she finds a connection between Faith and Brooklyn, and they are trying to figure out who has done this. And this book was a little bit emotional for me just because it was very sad. I wanted the ending to be different for him, but it wasn't. And this book kind of really opens your eyes to the damage it can do to someone someone has gone missing and they have no idea what happened to him. This one was it was sad. At the very, I think like at the very small chunk, like maybe right here, it was very, very emotional. So I started crying while I was reading it, which it was really hard to finish reading it because I was reading it through tears. But I really enjoyed it. It was a good book. This one I think I gave 4 out of 5, somewhere around there. Okay, so this series is done. Now I'm moving on to the Grant County series, and this one is going to be very short and sweet just because it is a series like the Butterfly Garden is a series. And this one has 6 books, and all of these have individual book reviews for. So if you guys want to know more, you can check those out on my channel. Okay, so the first one is called Blindsided, and it takes place in Grant County. It is a small town, and it takes place with Sarah Linton, who is a coroner / pediatrician, and then her ex-husband, Jeffrey Tolliver. He is chief of police in Grant County, and then it takes place with his detective, Lena Adams. And this book, let me tell you. So this book, it was good. It was, I loved the characters. Oh, take that back. I liked one of the characters. Jeffrey I didn't care for. Lena, I mean, she was okay. But I really felt bad for her in this book just because of all the things she went through. But so what happens is in the start of the book, Lena's sister was murdered, and she was also raped. And the person that finds her is Sarah, who's also the coroner. So that, and then Sarah and Lena kind of blames her for what happened to Sybil because Sarah wasn't able to save her. And that's probably why I didn't really care for her, just because from when I was reading it, sounded like Sybil didn't really have much of a chance. But yeah, and that's pretty much all I'm gonna say, because like I said, I have separate book review for Blindsided. And Jeffrey, Jeffrey is also very kind of protective of Sarah, but he's also very protective of Lena as well. I think that's I kind of like him, but I also kind of don't like him just because of what he did to his wife, and she turns out to be his ex-wife. That's pretty much all I can say on this book. I think I gave this one, I don't remember, like 3, maybe 4 out of 5, 3 out of 5, somewhere around there. The next book is called Kisscut, and this one, I even said this in my review, this one took me a bit to finish just because of the content. It had nothing to do with the writing. The writing was great. Story was good. The issue I had with it, it had to do with sexual assaults of kids, and it with Karin Slaughter's writing, it is very graphic, and it's very, her stories are very real. So they're not they're realistic. They're not, even though the characters are not real, she writes realistically. And I think this is one of the first ones of her books that I kind of just didn't really fall in love with, just because kind of the way it went and kind of the way it ended. And some of it was satisfying and some of it was not. Just sometimes in books, we get these things. So in Kisscut, it takes place on a Saturday night. Sarah and Jeffrey go to a skate rink, and she was talking to her sister, and Sarah ends up she ends up going to the bathroom or doing something. She finds a baby in a toilet. And when she goes out to tell Jeffrey, Jeffrey has his gun pulled on a 15-year-old named Jenny. Yeah, Jenny. And Jenny has a gun pointed at a boy, and she wouldn't put it down, and he tried everything, and it was basically suicide by cop. Jeffrey ended up shooting, she ended up dying, and Sarah ended up doing the autopsy and finding that her cervix was sewn shut. And when I mean sewn, I mean sewn, like it was sewn closed. And as this book goes on, it doesn't get any better. It actually gets worse. It talks about mother and son's relationships that are not typical. It talks about mothers and sons having sexual relationships, and there's also a suicide scene in here as well. So this book, I think I gave it maybe 3, maybe 2 stars. It had nothing to do with the writing. It was just, for me, it was the story, and it was very hard to finish. Yeah, I think this is one of the ones I would not read again, just because of the content matter. The next one is a lot better. It's called A Faint Cold Fear, and this one takes place on a college campus in Grant County, and this one I enjoyed. This one, Tessa, Sarah's sister, she is pregnant and about to expect a baby girl. Unfortunately, all hell breaks loose when Tessa goes with Sarah to a scene, and Tessa goes into the woods to go to the bathroom, and Jeffrey kind of starts to get worried about her. And as Sarah finishes up with the body, Sarah ends up going looking for her and finds her stabbed pretty badly, and it ends up that the baby did not survive. So, and the victims in this book, the bodies, they all looked like they had committed suicide, but Sarah is questioning it because she does not believe it was a suicide, even though it looks like it was. There are no fingerprints on any, not even from the victims. So she is trying to figure out what happened, what is going on with this case. It gets sketchier and sketchier as this book goes on, and I really enjoyed it and I loved it. And I think I give this one either 4 or 5 out of 5. I forget. So, and the next one is Indelible, and this one I loved. I think out of all of the Grant County series, Indelible is my favorite. One of my favorites. This takes place in a police station, and it goes from past to present. So there's 2 different timelines. The first timeline is when Sarah and Jeffrey were dating, and then the second is when they're trapped in a police station held at gunpoint. And when I read the first chapter, it's like watching a movie. It was very well written, and I really enjoyed the writing, and I loved the story. And also there are 2 cases that they tie in together, and it also, you kind of see procedural stuff in here, and talks about what they do when a situation like that happens. And I really enjoyed it. I gave this one 5 out of 5, I am pretty sure. The next one, so Faithless, I don't remember much. Being really honest, all I remember is that I liked it. I read this book pretty fast. All I know is I remember it's about a girl who was found buried alive, and she was poisoned by arson, I think it was. And Jeffrey and Sarah found her, and which leads them to a farm. And the farm's kind of weird. The family is very religious, and there's something going on, and Jeffrey can't put his finger on it, but there's something not right with his family. And Sarah wants to know what happens. And also the girl that they found, she was also pregnant. I think I gave this one 4 out of 5 or 5 out of, somewhere around there. This and this one are also combined in a book review, so you guys can watch these. So the last book is called Beyond Reach. This is one of my second favorite in the Grant County series. This one has to do with Lena Adams. It talks about her past, it talks about her sister's accident, and it talks about her uncle and all the crazy stuff that happens in this book. So it starts off, and this is the final book in the Grant County series. So it starts off with Lena in a car with someone else that's driving them, and the car eventually gets set on fire with someone inside, and they're trying to figure out who this person is. And then Jeffrey and Sarah get called to come to the hospital in Reese. It's where where Lena grew up, and Sarah wants them gone. She's trying everything to get Sarah and Jeffrey gone. She wants nothing to do with them. And Lena gave Sarah this slip in the hospital by Sarah untying her, and she ends up leaving. And it has something to do with her uncle. And what else can I say? The ending, did not see coming, and it also ties in with Ethan, who why do I keep saying Sarah? Lena, who was dating Ethan, and all the issues that came with that. And what else? That's pretty much it. And that, like I said, the ending is not a happy ending, but I still enjoyed it just because of the surprise of the ending. And if you have read this book, you guys know what I'm talking about. So Karin Slaughter, she wrote a letter to readers. It is on her website. I think I even talked about this a little bit in the book review for this one, that explains her decision process on the ending of this book. And if you have read this book, I recommend you read the letter. And also, if you read the audiobooks for the Will Trent series, that letter is in all of the audio, so it's read to you so you can listen to it. And I like her explanation on why she did what she did. And she treats these characters like they're real people. And I think that's one of the reasons it reflects in her writing. There's always a reason behind their actions. And I think it's one of the reasons why I like her book so much. Her book so much is because there's always a reason. There's always a way or an idea that her characters comes up with that are just solely their ideas. And I think for authors that's really rare, and I really enjoyed it. So this is it. You guys, as always, please like and subscribe to my channel. And I'm going to be doing Vlogmas, which I know it's for technically whatever bloggers, but I wanted to do that, so we are doing that. So you guys have a great and safe day. And I live in California, so everything is shut down right now, so I will continue reading and doing videos. So you guys have a great and safe day. Bye!